Minority is demanding a suspension of Sammy Gyamfi. Larry, let me start with you and pick your thoughts on this.
Why me? Start with the politician.
But why not you?
No, start with
Correct
Why not you?
Correct choice. No.
No, but why not you? I mean, let's know what you think. You are in the space. You think we're blowing this out of proportion, or tying it into the launch of the code of conduct by the president, and this coming after you think is a betrayal of the president?
Oh, betrayal would be quite a strong word to use. I think that it is a personality of Sammy Gyamfi.
Right.
Okay. And how, vociferous, vocal, strong. I mean, he has an opinion, of his own. And I mean, you dare not tell him to stop. So it's a personality issue. And people can imagine if this had happened, under the previous administration, how he would have taken it, and the length to which he would have taken it, the press conferences he would have held, the words he would have used, the radio stations he would have appeared on, the TV stations he would have, appeared on. So it is the personality of Sammy Gyamfi. But quite apart from that, what did he do? That the story says that, I mean, he met this lady, how do you describe her? Former
former fetish priestess.
Former fetish priestess.
But that's what she was before becoming, as we say, we have it, before finding Christ.
Before receiving the call.
Yes.
Okay.
So the previous one was what, a message?
I think they are both calls.
They are both calls.
The originator of the call.
Different divinations.
Yeah, true. So met at the roadside or wherever it is and so on, and then money exchange hands. We all give gifts, once in a while to people that you don't even know. Okay. But I think that upon receipt of the money, the way the lady acted.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you understand? The way she acted, I mean, flaunting, jubilantly, it's, I mean, in front of people. Now, he went into his car, pulled out the money, counted, and then I think that the currency also involved is also the issue here. You get it? Now, you have a situation where upon receiving the money, the lady's body language, Cedi-dollar. I mean, and she went on and on and on and on and on.
Who say woman no day?
Yeah, who say woman no day? And you see how she snatched the money from. I mean, this is obviously a lady who knows money through and through.
Yeah.
And then went on, and then the video, that came up subsequently. It doesn't speak well. Okay. It doesn't speak well of, I mean, coming on the hill of the president, announcing, code of conduct. Less than the same week. The same week. And so, and the president has promised to do certain things to his appointees who, people have asked whether it was receiving the money or dishing out the money. I mean, in terms of the presidency, whether which one would the president punish? Is it giving out or receiving, which the president is supposed to be punishing? It's quite a tight, situation yet. The presidency has invited him. Whatever the discussion was, we don't know. But this morning, I heard of Osukwachi saying that
there'll be a full investigation.
And then when the president comes, certain actions are expected to be taken. I've heard the minority talk about that. So, but I mean, cautiously, I would want to wait for the president, to come and then let him take the action that Ofosukwachi is talking about. Okay, based on the facts available to them.
Mind you, the man involved has apologized publicly.
Well, I mean, people apologize all the time. You get it, but the president has the ultimate say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, the president has the ultimate say. I'm in a very, very tight situation because I have dealt with Sammy Gyamfi a couple of times.
Right.
He knows my views, you know, and there are things I better not say.
Knowing the circumstances, and of course, everyone else is tying it into the launch of the code of conduct. Could he have been more cautious in giving out the money, especially in public like that?
He could have easily given out that money without anybody knowing about
exactly.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
But the very moment the camera came around, I mean, anybody would have been very cautious.
Exactly. Some level of self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness. And even after they have taken the video, you should have told them that, hey, guys, you know that this thing...
You should know better.
Yeah, you should know better. You should know better that, hey, I mean... But to go to the extent they went, okay, and listen, they should mind playing on our intelligence. That is obviously not an $800.
Of course.
Yeah, that is not. Why?
Of course.
I mean, come on, they shouldn't insult us. That is not $800.
Yeah.
Okay, that is not $800. Let's be blunt and you know, call a spade by its proper name. That is not $800. That is not.
It's way more.
Oh, I mean, come on. Why? You know Chop Dollar before?
No, I'm not rich.
Okay, talk to Sammy Gyamfi. You know, so that is not $800, and they should mind playing on our intelligence. But Sammy would have to be very careful.
Exactly. Yeah.
He would have to be very careful, and he knows why I'm saying he would have to be very careful. Yeah, he would have to be very, very careful. He's too young for this game.
Yeah.
Let him talk.
Let me hear from Prof. The minority is demanding that Sammy Gyamfi be held to the same standards as Cecilia Dapa. Do you think it's a stretch, or do you think it's a fair call?
So let me say a good morning to the good people of Lambuse and to all those who are watching us this morning. I think I want to look at this from a different perspective.
Very well.
But as for those making the call, I would appreciate a call from a different source than from these people. So they may perhaps water down the whole thing if they are the ones calling for that. But the circumstance of the issue, since it's going to be investigated, I want to leave it as such. But if you look at the situation, I think we should pick the lessons from this event. The first thing is that the gentleman has apologized.
Indeed.
He has called this an act of indiscretion. I think we have stated here that he should have exercised some bit of awareness. Whether he was aware that this filming was going on, by knowing that you are around this woman who is all over the place, alone, and with all such people surrounding you, and I think all of that is a summation of what he calls indiscretion. And he has apologized. I want to situate that in the call of the minority and ask, sometimes when things change, we forget so soon. How many times in the past 8 years did we ever get anybody in the previous government coming out publicly to apologize for obviously more grievous offenses? Now, what has happened, without going to the merit of it, if you look at the code of conduct, and I have read this code of conduct over and over, I cannot find where specifically it has been breached. It's not to justify his action. But if you look at the section on gifts, it's 1.5.12 gifts. And I can read aspect of it. To avoid the creation or appearance of an obligation, gifts in cash or kind are not to be solicited or accepted from commercial enterprises or any other organizations. An exception to this rule is the acceptance of a gift presented during an official visit to an institution. Everything about this is about the public officer receiving gifts that would influence his decision or his actions. Maybe what has happened may let us think about, is there a need for a revision of it? What about the public officer doling out gifts? Will you call that an opulent display of wealth, or trying to, I don't know what kind of terms to use, in an economy that we are struggling to recover? He's called for all his appointees. He says I call all his appointees to exercise a little bit of humility, be aware of the society we find ourselves in. He has advised against lavish celebrations and all of that, while the masses are all struggling to cope up. So if you look at it, it's an issue of a moral or awareness issue, but not a breach of a specific law or code of conduct of office. But for him to even come out when he has not specifically breached anything, to realize that what I have done is an act of indiscretion and apologize, I see strength in that. That apology is not a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
You recognizing that you have done something, it may not be unlawful, but I keep saying that not everything that is lawful is right. And not everything that is unlawful is wrong. But you look at the implications of what you have done. Sometimes it sends a certain message, which he has sat down, realized that it's not right.
The optics don't look good.
The optics don't look good. And he's apologized for it. I think I was celebrating for the apology. He didn't wait for people to make the calls. He must come out and apologize and all of that. He quickly recognized it and apologized. I would also recognize that the kind of leadership he's serving under may be pointing to this apology. We know that His Excellency will not countenance anything untoward in his government. He has stressed it to the ministers at every retreat. He reminds them he will not cover up people. He will not be a clearing agent. If you mess up, you face the law. As the standard he's holding the previous appointees to, the same standard he's holding us to. He's aiming to reset this country in terms of our mindset, in terms of our behavior, in terms of our conduct. And therefore, everybody must exercise that level of caution. So I would say that it's unfortunate this happened, but let's look at the good aspect of it. The good aspect is that for the first time, maybe in the past 9 years, we have seen a top official in this country publicly apologizing for something that is not... Have we forgotten so soon all the things that have happened in the past? That you even call for an apology and you have nothing of that. Where things go to the presidency and it is just, what didn't we hear? In less than 3 months of the previous government, there was a cash for seat scandal. What did we hear about it? We heard things publicly. People did lavish parties, did what they shouldn't do. Did anybody have to apologize? What worse crimes were not committed than this, which is not even a crime? So I'm not justifying what he did. I mean, we all admit that there was that act of indiscretion. And I think at this moment, I will celebrate his strength rather than his weaknesses. There's the weakness is that indiscretion. The weakness is doing this publicly, doing this knowing very well that the people around you, people are filming you and all of that. I think that is a weakness. And even to give out the money that is not in CDs and all of that, I mean, you could have given even more without anyone knowing, and to be fine. If it's somebody you want to help, you're a kind person, you naturally want to help people, that's fine. But that is the weakness. But let's look at the strength. The strength is that this gentleman, in humility, has apologized. He's a lawyer. He could have gone on to say, show me where it is wrong in the law. And like I'm saying, I've been reading this code of conduct. that was just launched. Other than the spirit of it, to the letter of it, there is no offense in this code of conduct. And I want someone to point one to me that he has breached. There's none. That's a document I just read to you. The section on gift. There's gift that you can receive. The ceiling is 20,000. You can keep that. You have to declare and pay the taxes on it. Or if it's higher, you must revert it to the state. This doesn't fall anywhere in that code of conduct. I hope you get it. And this is not a woman that he has any business that, to the best of anybody's knowledge with. And there is no evidence that this money is state funds. Unless it's calling for a lifestyle audit of him to find out how much he's earning, if he can produce that money. But this is an enterprising young man in his own right before even coming into politics. So we put that aside.
You believe that he has not breached the letter of the conduct, unless we're looking at the spirit of it?
Yes.
So when it's the conduct says appointees must manage their personal affairs in a way that withstands the closest public scrutiny.
Yes.
And must comport themselves in a manner befitting the trust and confidence placed in them.
Good.
You think he has not sidestepped this?
So show me which of these that you have read really is an offense that he has committed.
Like what he describes as indiscretion.
Yes.
It says managing personal affairs in a way that withstands the closest public scrutiny.
Good. So this is where the public scrutiny has come in. And he has recognized that, look, what I did, even though it's not a crime, it doesn't inure to good optics for the government, to the person who appointed me, to the people that I'm serving. It doesn't. And that's why he calls it indiscretion. But I'm saying that the offenses listed under which specific punishment will apply, we don't see that here. Now, I see the minorities call, honestly, to be baseless. If people were calling for him to apologize, that would be a different. And this man has already apologized. Well, the presidency is determined to review the whole thing. Let's leave it like my colleague Larry has said. For the president, let's give them the room to think through and take whatever actions necessary.
Does it smack of discretionary financial power? Misuse of influence?
No, I don't think this will fall anywhere close to influence peddling or misuse of influence. Not at all. Discretionary financial power, I mean, other than open display of wealth in a society that other people are struggling. Party grassroots people are struggling, and people are struggling that, look, we've all worked, we have not had anything yet, and then of what basis will you even give this to this person when there are poorer people or people needing help? And these are social and moral.
You might want to add this, that Agrada, she has even come out to say that she was very vociferous,
critical
of President Mahama coming.
He was.
You know,
He was. Very
so
critical.
that is where the pain of the NDC guys
so
are also coming from.
Exactly.
I mean,
so we have all those images and videos online on how critical this woman has been of the government. That's why I'm saying that. So it's like it's the generality of the masses will feel hurt. Like I'm saying, because whatever amount this is, definitely there could have been a better use of it. Do you understand my point? There could be somebody whose bill could have been paid in the hospital. There could be somebody who is jobless and struggling who could have been helped. That is where that indiscretion comes from. But for this singular act, for us to say that is influence, no, because influence peddling, per my understanding of this, is nowhere close to it.
I've heard Agrada say after the incidents that she's NDC.
Well, but you know,
and that's how Sammy should convey her apologies to JDM.
She even said that years ago. She gave out her house
to some party activists
for party events.
The beautiful thing about politics is that nothing is cast in
So she's
stone.
been influenced.
No. To join NDC.
Sika Emoja.
No. Politics, in fact, the blood of politics is human beings. And any political party welcomes anybody unless you fall foul of our standard of conduct in that party, then you are expelled. So if today, even His Excellency Baumia decide that he's joining NDC, we welcome him. If Nanado decides he's joining NDC, we welcome him. So I'm not sure the party will ever sack anybody. And people come in and go out.
Be careful of the we.
Yes, perhaps.
Yeah.
See council before you make any announcements.
I can tell you that the party welcomes everybody. But when you come in, you must live by our rules and conduct. If you go foul of that, then the party will deal with you. So if anyone decides that they want to join the party today, they are welcome. People have criticized and later realized that, look, people said so many things against His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and later realized that, look, these were unfounded allegations, these were smear campaigning, and some have apologized publicly, some have joined, and they are welcome. Right. If she decides that she wants to join NDC for whatever reason, I don't think the party will sack her or anybody, but if she comes in, she must live by our rules. And our rules do not permit certain things to be done. And I think that my conclusion of all of this is, let's celebrate the strength in humility that Sammy has recognized that he has exercised an act of indiscretion, and he has apologized. He was not forced into apologizing. At least we are not aware that the president or anybody insisted on him apologizing. Or upon sober reflection, some people had called him and he has. That is a mark of strength. That is a mark of leadership. That is a mark of someone who recognizes that, look, my actions may have impact on other people, and people may interpret it in different ways. So the substance of itself, let's leave it to those that, as Felix has said, that the presidents who want to review it, fine. But if I have my way, I will plead that anybody looking at this might deal with the issue with leniency, because this is somebody who has apologized, and that is the very first step we should look at, and call the act what it's supposed to be. And I don't see an obvious breach, but upon sober reflection, it shouldn't have been done. So I think that's how we should look at it. And for people who think this is an opportunity to douse all the good things that are happening in the country and to get some negative things, because, you know, our opponents have been struggling since we came to power to find news. They try, I mean, we've gone past 3 months, they haven't found any scandal to deal with, so they are struggling to find scandal, because if you compare back 2017 by this time, the number of scandals that have already come up, they can't find anything like that. So they are just looking for a straw to hang on to. This is certainly not that straw. Let me advise them, they should find something else. But if they are struggling to find anything, they should praise the good that the country is going through. The dollar that is being disgraced publicly now, when we have not announced locking it or jailing it and throwing the key into the sea, but have been able to control it, they should praise that. Trade.
One of the concerns they have is that this is toxic dollarization of our economy, if you are doling out dollars in town. Oh,
then it should reflect in the dollar rising.
And that's what they fear.
It will not happen. I rather interpret it that the dollar is losing so much value that people who have dollars are now finding a way to dispose of it. That's my interpretation of it.
So there's dollar in the system.
I'm telling you, people had hoarded dollars, and now they are feeling uncomfortable. There are people who are not comfortable with this drop in the dollar, which is good for us as a nation. People are feeling pained because they are losing money. People hoarded dollars. Now people are finding ways to dispose of it, and they are trying to create the impression that this is not sustainable, and we will discuss it. But look, let's celebrate something. Let us celebrate something. And sometimes in Akan, they said, "Etiye my refie." When your conditions change, it is very easy for you to forget where you have been. But when this country, when the dollar had a meteoric rise, and the impact it has on our economy, it is falling and we are complaining. When the interest rates were trying to come down, not too much down, and then the treasury bill rate were dropping. They said it was artificial. It's not sustainable. On the floor of parliament, our opponents raised it, cautioning the finance minister. It's not sustainable. According to theory, the two must be together. The gap between treasury bill rate and the inflation cannot be so much. It's not sustainable. It will crash. 3 months are gone down the line. Nothing has crashed. If anything, things are getting better.
The prices are still up.
That is an issue that we all have to contend with. And we've heard the traders themselves calling each other to drop prices. My brother, we all drive. Weekly, we are seeing the fuel prices dropping. Is that not a good thing?
Indeed it is.
It is a good thing. These are the things we should celebrate. And people want to hang on to this little straw to make noise. Very little straw.
And perception matters a lot.
And they go very far.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but we shouldn't allow perception without basis to override substantive matters.
And that's why there's a call for action.
That is why there is an apology. That is why they realize that, look, we are all going very well, and something that should not come up to derail our focus has come up. That is just giving people the opportunity to speak about and then not focus on all the good things that
Let me hear from Larry.
Yes.
So there's always political accountability, okay? Regardless of whether or not he's apologized, there's always a political accountability.
Which is in the code of conduct.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, the ultimate, let's say, the person with the ultimate say is the president.
Definitely.
And he hasn't, spoken about this yet.
How much pressure do you think is on him to act?
Obviously,
Whichever way he will act, we don't know, but how much pressure do you think is on him? Because whatever happens after will set a precedence.
yeah.
Having launched the code of conduct, this happening after, I mean, people will be watching to see what he does.
We are dealing with a man who sacked Victoria Hammer. For dreaming,
envisaging
exactly
$1 million.
You get it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you need to take that man very seriously.
A man who has withheld the salaries of his appointees for not declaring their
You need to take him very seriously.
And I'm saying I can imagine that the fear of that and all of that is contributing to the quick apology and all of that, because this is a man who will not countenance nonsense.
Right.
We all know that. This is a man who prosecuted his own.
Yeah, exactly. Abu Ghapele.
Was prosecuted. So he's not a clearing agent.
Yeah.
That one is fact.
And this is a man who has called his, his predecessor a clearing agent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's wearing a huge yoke. And to have one of the first things he did was to do the code of conduct.
Code of conduct, yeah.
And even as we just cited, that something, declare your assets.
Yes.
Okay? And that your failure to declare, I'm withholding your salary.
Yes.
And then says that, listen, if it's not done within a certain time, again, I am going to do this.
Yes.
I'm going to sack you.
Yes.
You get that. Now, see, Doc or Prof. See, NDC is in a very peculiar situation with the overwhelming numbers that, that the party got at the election.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you might think that, it is, you might construe that as the love of the party.
Yep.
But it's a huge responsibility that has been placed on the party.
We do.
And even a bigger responsibility on the president.
Exactly.
Who had been in office and gone out and he's back, okay, with all the difficulty.
As well as the experience.
Exactly, one huge seats that he started even running away from.
Overwhelming majority.
You get that thing.
Yeah.
So it means that a lot is expected from his government, that he cannot take things for granted.
Yeah.
And if you are his appointee, you should constantly be looking over your shoulders.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or be finding out whether or not you are behaving properly or what the man thinks of you. He's not a man, I mean, we've dealt with each other many times over.
Yeah.
He's not your kind of person who will call you and even, and praise you. Okay? Yeah. And neither would he call you to condemn you. He's just watching you. And by the time you notice, he strikes. You get what I'm saying? So if you are dealing with a man like that, you need to be very careful. People have made mention about even the car in which he was driving, as in the Range Rover.
Yeah.
I hear that is, the state of the...
Yeah, 2024, autobiography.
Autobiography.
That's what it's called?
Range Rover, yeah.
Somewhere in the range of $450,000.
Hey. You're going to quantify it.
Oh, yeah, it's out there. It's out there.
That's the open market value.
It's out there.
Let's welcome Honorable. Let's say good morning to the Honorable Isaac Guamanyako, Member of Parliament for Efia in the Western region. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's out there, and people are asking, is the car for him or is it who is the owner of the car?
Of the car. Yeah.
So all those things are playing now.
That's what the optics. It
Yes,
speaks to
the
the
office,
opulence.
yes.
Yeah.
The office in which he operates or he's heading.
Yeah.
It's a very, very critical office because the president and then even the government has signaled to us that, listen, it's a very key office,
It is.
in the sustenance of the economy.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you don't take some of these things for granted.
Yeah.
Okay? And as I keep saying, let's wait for the president to tell us, what. Yeah.
Right. Let me pick the thoughts of Honorable Buamanyako on this. Your side is demanding some sanctions against Sammy Gyamfi. Indeed, you are asking that he be held to the same standards as Cecilia Dapa.
How do you even compare this?
One argument is that Cecilia Dapa actually had money stolen from her. This one, Sammy Gyamfi is out there giving money. So, Honorable, let me pick your thoughts on this matter.
Thank you very much once again, and a very good morning to your cherished viewers.
Right.
And a good morning to Larry and my good friend, Professor Bayu. For me, I don't think the call is for one to be held against the standard of another. We have to review this within the general context of good governance and whether as a country we still have the ethics, we still have the integrity, we still have the accountability that we hold our public officials to. When the president launched the Code of Ethics, I thought it was a very important step in trying to have an official document that tries to speak to how he expects his government to act within the public
departure
space.
from Akufo-Addo.
Oh, it's a good step. We already, as a country, have our standard ethics and conduct. Shraj has issued same. When you go to public institutions, various institutions, when I was in GRA, we had our own code of ethics and conduct.
There's a bill in the offing as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is important that as a government, if they are able to launch a particular conduct, code of ethics and conduct, that speaks to the space of the appointees. We look at it and applaud. And I don't have a problem applauding the government for that initiative. But it is different when you initiate the process. And it is different when you have a test and you act accordingly to it.
Right.
When I read the document, one part that struck me was the scope of those ethics, those that it's supposed to cover. It talked about government appointees, talked about ministers, deputy ministers, and so on and so forth.
Heads of parastatals.
Exactly. So the acting CEO of an important body like the Gold Board is caught within the framework of those the president expects to live within the highest standards. So when we watch the video and the incidents that happened, is this something that we are proud of? Is this something that we want to see our public officials do? Because it's not just the optics. It is about the kind of way we present things. You know, this is a person who has been appointed, as Larry said, into a very sensitive government position. We are in a country where we use some currencies as a legal tender. Okay, if I go to the US and I want to give a gift, I use US dollars to give a gift. If I go to UK and I want to give a gift, I give pounds as a gift. So if I'm in Ghana and I want to give a gift, I give it in Ghana cedi. What is this craze about an individual, a government appointee, staffing so much dollars and having that confidence and comfort to give it out as a gift? That is where my concern is. And so is it the situation that he has stopped spending cedis? are we so rich overnight that the easiest currency that comes to us is in dollars?
Prof thinks the dollar has fallen so badly that
People are giving
people
theirs
are
out.
trying to dispose it of.
You know, he can say that on a lighter side.
He's here to give us some.
You know, he can say that on a lighter side. But from where I sit and the work we do, myself and Prof, if someone is to dole out, I don't know how much he gave. If you counted, some people are saying readily about 3,000 or 4,000 or what have you. I don't even know if people say 10,000. It's not about that. But even if
that says it's 800 Ghana cedis.
Oh, but when you count, you know that is not so. So that's not. We all saw the counting process, but I'm not in a position to put that value on him.
But even what was snatched from his hands and all.
Exactly. So when you look at it from that context, Then, as government officials, it is important that we try to bring certain things into clarity. We hold people accountable. Now, what is our expectation of the president? Because as we said, you have issued out the code of ethics and conduct. This is just a month down the line, and you've been faced with such
Actually happened within the same week of the launch.
So, if within 48 hours, yes, if within 48 hours, this matters because we've lived this over yesterday and today. We are in the early hours of today, and there's not been any official communication from government acknowledging that this issue has come to its
the minister in charge of government communications has spoken regarding this matter. He says there will be a full-scale investigation, but the president will be briefed since he's out of the country. Upon his return, we'll know what actions the president will take.
So is he speaking on behalf of the president in this matter that there will be a full-scale investigation?
That's what he has said.
He speaks on behalf of the president.
No, but we have certain, the way he narrated it, it was as if he expects a full-scale investigation, but he's awaiting the president. But if the president is going to institute a full-scale investigation, then it comes within the context of what we are calling for as a minority. Because a man cannot be hanged when he has not been heard. And so he has to be heard first.
True.
All the facts laid before.
Well, he was summoned by the presidency yesterday. He met with the chief of staff.
Yeah. And I think they will bring his attention to these matters and how he's supposed to conduct himself within the public space. And it is a signal that we expect to go to all appointees and government machineries. Because at the end of the day, it is Ghana that we are building. But you see, when you have been in opposition before, and you were able to speak in the manner in which they spoke, particularly my good friend and brother Sammy, and you get yourself within this. That is why it has become a big issue for conversation.
I think the personality involved is contributing to how...
Because he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. If you call for people's head on little matters and other matters, and then you yourself...
Which of the matters are you describing as little?
Oh, but we have been faced with both minor and major issues.
Maybe he wants me to remind him.
Please, I don't need reminders. I don't need reminders here.
Maybe he needs a reminder.
So what about it is? The point is that it's indiscretion.
I want to ask.
Quick one.
Yes.
Don't you find it strange how this whole thing is playing out? The person to whom the money was given to, as in Agrada, who was so, supportive of the MPP, during the...
And Dr. Baumia.
Oh, it doesn't even catch my attention because people have different relationships. He may have his political affiliation at a time.
Being nice to your party members.
That is where I'm saying that I don't want to even be guided by the politics of it. We are guided by the actions and inactions of government officials. Because at the end of the day, it opens us up, like you talked about the vehicle. You see, we have a history, and we should be careful. When you mentioned the cost of the car, Prof was alarmed or was shocked.
How much did you say?
415, the range of 450,000 USD. You understand? No government official can or should be bought a car in that range. So even if it is an official vehicle,
we don't know if it's even for him.
I'm coming. You see, that one we can play the ostrich here. We can play the ostrich here. I'm saying that no government agency would get approval to buy a vehicle of that range. First. Second, we have not established who owns the vehicle.
Exactly.
But I am inclined, based on some of the ways our public officials, particularly this government,
don't be inclined.
Has portrayed exactly the past and present, but now the president, because we've seen the head of ORA, which is Honorable Sammy Gyamfi Ablakwa, being confronted in Parliament about his house. Okay,
this was during his vetting.
During his vetting, and then removed from an owned house to a rented apartment. Okay? And if you look at the cost of the rented apartment, it doesn't commiserate with his stated financial capabilities. And so within that context of some of these things, we should be very careful because it links to the potential likelihood that people may be benefiting. Because if someone even have gifted him or has given it to him for usage, what is its implication for the role that he's now going to play? And that is where myself, Prof, and Larry should be concerned and interested in. Because if it is going to affect his function as the chief executive of an important arm of government agency like the Gold Board, then advice, counsel, and training have to go into their lives so that at the end of the day, they don't fall prey. Because he's a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
He's my colleague counsel. He has when he appeared before us at Finance Committee on the Gold Board, he eschewed good understanding in the role that he's going to play. But that is not enough. Ethics, integrity, and good conduct is the hallmark. Because at the end of the day, if the person doesn't have those qualities, he will fail in the role that he is.
Very well. Prof, you have a reaction to this?
Just to state that, all that said, I think the aspect I believe we are missing out of all of this is the fact that this gentleman has come out publicly to apologize. And I'm saying, in my short history in politics, over the past 9 years, we saw gold, cash for seats. Was there an apology? We saw people who were carried as journalists to a conference. Somebody was suspended. There was investigations. All of that. Was there any apology?
The Australian visa thing.
Was there an apology? We saw contaminated fuel bust. Was there any apology?
So you think the apology should suffice?
I'm just saying that. You see, I'm not saying it suffices, but I'm just telling you that there's a stark difference, and we should not belabor that point. We should not make it look like it's insignificant. This is a change in governance. It's a government that is telling you that we recognize the huge responsibility placed on us. We recognize the huge role he himself also plays. And he himself recognizes the weight he's carrying. And that if he has exercised an act of indiscretion and is serving within a government that holds everyone accountable, he must demonstrate humility. And that's the apology. He must demonstrate accountability. And by coming out to public recognize that, look, I have done what I should not have done. The rest of it, let's leave it to his
Elsewhere,
and I also think that
people have resigned over, if I can borrow honorable's words,
so you see,
more minor issues.
We are going
in Germany. A minister of state resigned over a gift he received 15 years ago before even coming into politics.
Before we go to that higher standard, you see, that's what I'm saying, that in Akan, they say sometimes we forget where we've come from, based on where we've come from. Even getting an apology.
But we've made progress in life.
I'm coming. It's a significant achievement. Getting an apology is a significant achievement. Tell me one government official in the past 8 years, with all the scandals, where even when someone had dollars stolen from her house, what did we get? Even when OSP was investigating and the person was to be sent away, you saw the love letter the president wrote to the person?
Should OSP investigate this one? Because there's also accusation that there's more where this came from.
We are open to everything. I have no question against whatever form of investigation they want to. But the point I want it to go down today is that Ghanaians should not forget so easily that we have come from an era where all complaints were dismissed, where all allegations were cleared, where ministers who went to public hearing and said they were out of their mind when they took certain decisions, right? Concerning Sputnik V in a crisis. They said they were out of their mind, they were not thinking properly and took decisions that led to colossal loss of money to this country. Not even an apology did we get. Right?
So we've gone past the clearance stage.
I'm just saying
now let's consolidate the gains.
I'm just saying that we now have an era where the president is holding his own people to a very high standard.
Right.
And he has continuously cautioned us. And I am sure that that is not lost on Sammy
Let me
Gyamfi.
just put this in.
And that is
Quickly,
why,
and then
and that's why
I'll hear
Sammy
from
himself
Larry.
have
Then
come
we
out
can make
to
progress.
apologize.
Very well.
So let's accept that apology. We have heard that he has interaction with the chief of staff. We've heard that the government is of a land a full. Let's not do a lifestyle audit of Sammy on TV because it will not be fair, right? Because if we are all conjecturing that he was in a Range Rover, where is it from? Who is it? That is conjecturing.
Very well.
That is akin to a lifestyle audit. The guy has declared his assets. If any state or institution wants, there's a way to go around. I have declared my asset. If anybody wants, they can go to the processes to do the proper audit.
This asset declaration matter. We will get to it maybe another time. But let me hear from you,
just
Prof.
30 seconds. I just wanted to put this in context. The fact, the apology that Sammy gave is only to recognize the fact that that particular act that he committed, he accepts responsibility that he didn't do right.
Right.
Yes.
So that is different from other matters that the person holds the view that he has not committed any wrong.
Like what?
You apologize when you know you have made a wrong. So if someone conducts a transaction, a business transaction, and you disagree with the terms and conditions of those transactions, it goes through investigative processes. And when findings are made, the people are held accountable. So whether you call on Cecilia Dape's money or what have you, she does not see any wrong.
And that is the difference.
No, it's not
That is the
different.
difference. In 8 years, government saw nothing wrong.
It's not about government.
Hang on.
Thank God the people of
putting
Ghana
this-
Hang on, so we can better
Yes.
appreciate what
I'm only making the point that in other instances that he referenced, if you apologize, then it means you acknowledge that certain things that had come within the public space, you erred, and so you have no difficulty apologizing. I don't have the record here to reference and say this person apologized or this person did not, but just in the instance of Sammy Gyamfi, it is an apology that is in the right direction within the context that that particular action that is within the public domain is unjustifiable, and that is why.
And that should suffice. The apology should suffice.
Oh, it's one. Others would be for us to get them trained. I believe in training for and capacity building for new appointees.
Right.
They've not been in public service, and they need to be trained as well. And so when you appoint people in public office, you should take them through leadership and other ethics and good governance training so that they will know how to conduct themselves well within the public space.
Very well.
But
Very well.
it's not for
Thank
me.
you. Thank you, Honorable. Larry, you wrap up on this, and then we'll get into the Cedi-dollar romance and then the call for reduction in prices.
Training and so on. I recall that years ago, Gimpa Public School, was very instrumental in training the public office holders anytime they are appointed. Okay, and so you had even MPs going through that processes. Later on, it became a certificate program that it's where people are awarded, and I think that we need to go back to that kind of arrangement. And I'm saying this also with the knowledge that under President Akufo-Addo, people started paying for leadership training somewhere in Harvard Kennedy School. And Sammy Gyamfi was also there, about 2 or 3 years ago to go through a similar kind of, training. And so it is very key. When people are appointed, because the political, platform, jabbing and all that. After the election is over, you put those things behind you, okay, and then translate yourself into the proper, governance, leadership, where a lot of people, even the way you smile becomes an issue. So some of these things will have to, to be addressed. But having said that, I think that there's this thing where the young guys who President Mahama, has appointed would have to constantly be,
reminded of.
I think they need some big brother, mentorship. Who would say that, hey, listen, bring down the tempo a bit. Hey, you that, because some of them, are overwhelmed by...
The blood is hot.
Yeah, the blood is hot. They're overwhelmed. Okay, these are guys, some of them have not, appeared on any, let's say, anybody's payroll before. Okay, from the classroom, they went into partisan politics and so on. Now,
some to successful entrepreneurs.
But then the president recognized their contribution towards the victory of the NDC and has, given them some of this appointment. Having gotten these jobs, what you need to do is that know the personality you are serving. Okay, and then make sure that you don't do anything, that disgraces him in the long run. Okay, I don't know whether
you think they have an appetite to flaunt.
I won't put it bluntly like that. I mean, we've gone through things. Certain things that I did 5 years ago, I won't do them today.
True.
It's a matter of exposure.
Exactly.
Because when you get during the vetting again, the lady that had a conversation with the deputy, the minority, it was completely unnecessary. Certain utterances.
Which of them?
Yes. Freshly appointed, if not even been confirmed, and then in public space. So the issue about young people,
I think
appointees being advised and getting some coaching.
There should be a big brother in the room.
Exactly.
I think one thing I want to say in relation to what he has said is that all the young people who are holding position must remember one thing. It's a test case for the youth of this country in general.
Exactly.
We have been crying for opportunity, and that they appoint elderly people, old people, people even said retired people who can no longer think are being taken opportunity while the young are not getting. His Excellency has given the youth a chance. Let's not mess it up. I mean, I think that's a general caution to everybody, every young person. Remember, whether this government or any other government, the youth of Ghana will be judged by our individual conduct of young people in power, whether we should be given any other opportunity in future. So if you are 35 and you've been given a certain huge responsibility and you mess up, what argument do we have to make to any other government to consider the young in authority? You get what I'm saying? Then people say, okay, go for the elderly people who are more consummate in their thinking and all of that. So I think it's a good call for all people, young people, to know that, look, you are holding that position in trust for all youth in this country.
The debate, let me add to this. The debate,
in a few seconds.
Yeah, sure. The debate had been that, is it proper for him to, as in the president, to appoint the young guys to this position? Okay. And that he needed, let's say, senior people so that the young ones will understudy them.
Exactly.
A year, 2 or something, you just let the older ones go, and then these young ones
take over.
Exactly.
But the
president's position has also been that, hey, I mean, these are guys that are prosecuted the election with keenly.
No, not only that. Many of them previously served as deputies in the previous administration.
Right.
So even though they are young, they are ripe in a way. So they just have to be cautious of their conduct as they hold in trust for all of us.
Very well. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll look at the Cedi-dollar romance and the call for a reduction in prices. This is Breakfast Daily. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Grateful that you stayed on with us. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne TV. We're having the news review segment. We're moving into the Cedi-dollar conversation. Prof is telling us that the dollar has been disgraced. So, Prof, perhaps I should start with you. Okay. How much of a disgrace is the dollar facing?
Tell him to be very careful.
Indeed.
There were some politicians who once loved the dollar.
I want to have his record so that we can play back. I don't wait for that.
I mean, I'm not a finance person, so let me issue that disclaimer first. But as a player in the economy and as a beneficiary of everything that is happening, I can say from the end user point, I don't know the back end information.
Yeah.
But what I can see is that we've had this sustained fall of the dollar and an appreciation of the city. And we know the impact of that in this country. Whatever is being done to achieve this, we should make sure that it's sustainable. The first point is that, I mean, my understanding is that the Gold Board and its initiative is contributing significantly to that. And I think, if I'm getting it right, there's a more coordinated sale of our gold, and that is bringing a lot of foreign currency directly. Maybe the era where people were smuggling gold and all of that may be a thing of the past, or reduced to the barest minimum. If that is so, and therefore it's making a lot of forex available and it's affecting the economy this way, I think it's good. So as I've said, my disclaimer is I may not understand fully how we are here, but whatever it is, it's been sustained for some time now.
Yeah.
What all of us should think about is how do we sustain it? Because the benefits when it is sustained are obvious. Now, when you come to the market, we are seeing a drop in oil prices because people are not struggling to get dollars to go and import oil. You will get it. There's no speculation of how you can get dollars. The appetite in saving in dollars definitely is going down because it's no more an easy means to hedge. I mean, when the interest rates fell, my concern was that many people are going to move their money into purchasing dollars for storage, because then your money will not lose value. Because if you look at it, your the interest rate on loans, the inflation rate, and what you gain on treasury bill. Now the bond market is even not there. Let me put it that way. What you gain on treasury bills, the financial instruments, there was so much at par that if you put money there, realistically, the money is losing value.
Right.
And so people will be looking for other alternatives where they can put money so that the money will not lose value. Now, the other alternative would have been buying dollars. Fortunately for us, the dollar is not sustaining its own against the cedi. So what it means is that the banks, individuals who have money must push it into the economy for the money to work to generate more money. Right? The lazy way of growing money, where you just go and buy a government instrument and leave it there and it's just growing.
Yeah.
It's becoming a thing of the past. Or you take it to go and buy dollars and it's just there, and because the dollar is appreciating every day, your money is gaining value. It's a thing of the past. What it means now is that if you have liquid cash, you have to look for a business and invest in it and let it generate money for you. And I think that is good for the economy. Jobs will come up because businesses will expand. The dependency on the dollar will go down. People who have quoted prices in dollars, I'm sure now will be revising their notes, because if your school is quoting its school fees in dollars, it means that over the past 2 months, school fees has dropped. But you are spending in cedis, yet you are quoting your school fees in dollars. So if your school fees was $10,000 and that was about 16,000 Ghana cedis, now it's 13,000 Ghana cedis. You think twice about it. You get what I'm trying to say? So I think that is a good aspect of it. The other aspect about the call for traders to reduce the prices, I think there's a very simple way that will happen. And if we call and the traders will not listen, there's no problem. Let's let the market dynamics work it out. If you are a trader, you are selling the same thing as other people, and you pick up new stock, give us a realistic price. If the other shop keeps their good and no one is buying and everybody's coming to you, you will be able to have several turnover. No one will advise the other person to come down. It is market forces. So I see the appeals as, well, it's just an appeal to the conscience. But in business world, no one's going to listen to that.
They argue that during the time of purchase, the dollar was at a certain level.
Yes.
And so they would have to clear that stock. But others also argue that when they are making the order, it's at a projected value of the dollar.
So you see, if you look at it in simple terms, you buy this cap, 100 pieces at $10
per unit.
Let's say in January. And at that time, the dollar was, let's say, 16 cedis. And you say you still have...
Is that what you inherited? 16?
No, I'm just using as a...
Right.
And then you said you are having this, and because of that, you bought it at that, so you want to keep selling it at 10, 16 cedis for one. Do not forget that when you are going to place a new order, you are going to get it at 13 cedis. You are going to get it at 13 cedis. So is it better for you to quickly sell off what you have, reduce and sell off what you have, and with the money you have, be able to buy more to grow your capital, than to hold on to the old price because you bought it at that price, knowing very well that when you place a new order, you won't get it at 16, you get it at 13. So it's a matter of doing your business projections and doing the figures well. And I think in the long run, every business person stands to benefit if they can drop the prices, quickly sell off, and be able to buy at this low rate. The other thing is transport fares. There have been calls, and then they are resisting. There's that general trend that in Ghana, prices only go up. It's unidirectional. It never comes down.
Right.
We are trying to reset the economy. We are trying to reset the country. And that theory must change. I'm counting on the market forces to drive that change, where we begin to see actual prices dropping. Because if electricity price begin to go down, and I'm hearing discussions that PURC is looking at dropping electricity and water price, because a lot of their inputs are also dollar-based.
Exactly.
And if it's going down, ECG's debt to its power,
the independent power
producers, is dollar valued.
Yeah.
So that means that what they are going to convert in cedis to pay is coming down. So, but because of the huge debt stock, one will say, oh, do they sustain it so they reduce the debt stock a bit before they begin to drop? But I think some amount of drop, a middle-way drop, that is not commensurate with the current dollar value, but also allows them some reserves to be able to clear the debt, or at least reduce the debt, will be a good middle point. So I think that my conclusion on this is that the government is definitely doing something good. The finance minister is definitely doing something good. The gold board team is doing something good. That is what we are seeing in this reflection.
You're not a beneficiary of what has been instituted by the previous administration?
You know, let me tell you something. I didn't want to go there, but if it was the previous administration that's still in place now, the dollar will continue to be going up. And you know what they will say? They'll say Russia-Ukraine war is still there. Now Gaza, Israel has come in. The attitude of Trump has come in, and all these external shocks. So, but we have found people that are not giving us. So they are not giving out excuses. They are facing the situation and solving. That's why I didn't want to go there. But I think that something good is happening. He is my colleague, and he remembers very well that in Parliament, when the rates on the Treasury bill was dropping, and inflation was so high, their side, the finance expert there, made statement on the floor of Parliament that it is not sustainable, and quoted all sorts of theories. I'm a medical person, I don't understand financial theories, that if that gap is there, it cannot be sustained. In fact, when some of them explained it to me,
you were sold.
I personally thought that if something is not done about it, the dollar is going to go so high that because of that, and it makes so much sense that if you put your money in treasury bill and you are getting 15%, and the inflation is at 20-something%, that means that you are actually losing value in that money. So the logical thing would be people to go and buy dollars. Now look at where the dollar is. So I was actually bought by that kind of argument. But like I'm saying, something is being done right, because it's been more than 2 months, and nothing has changed.
Very well. Let me hear from Honor. You're a finance person. What is being done right, and how do we consolidate the gains and ensure some sustainability in the sector?
They should give us advice on how to sustain it. It should not.
Interesting times. And I always say we are living in one Ghana. And so our pleasure and interest is for us to have a better Ghana, irrespective of which government is in office. And also to caution where we think certain matters has to be taken a critical look about. We've come from an economy which has suffered devastating effects at the global level. And that is where, when he cited issues about the regular excuses then,
COVID-19.
You know, the COVID-19. See, these are things that were real. It's unfortunate the MPP government was confronted with it. And I know if it had been an NDC government, they may have said same and even more But this is where we are as a country. Once you are not in that ship as captain, it is easy for you to take a political capital out of it and do it. But what is amazing is that globally, countries have been challenged and have not been able to bounce back. But with our association with the IMF over the last 2 years and the discipline that went into the macroeconomic indicators, the government before leaving office had at least provided the playing field that makes it easy for any continuing government to build on the successes. And so it is not, we need to give credit where credit is due. Else, as a country, we'll go nowhere. The NDC government doesn't have any magic wand between January and now to be doing those things if there were no fundamentals that's there. The PMMC, as at December 31st, had built up a gold reserve of 30.2 tons, which has...
This is million tons.
Yes, 30 million tons.
Okay.
And between January, when NDC came to government, and now, the reserve accumulation has gone to 31.6 million tons, meaning just 1 million has been added. Yet, all the gold that has been bought from January 5 point something million, February 6 point something million, March 7 point something million, with the gold bought now in April, buying 9 million tons. If you accumulate, you're talking about almost 15 or 17 million tons. And that is the currency that is now being pushed into the system because there's already a buffer of 30 million tons that have not been touched.
So we shored up the gold reserves. And that is what is cushioning the
that
situation.
That is
Where is the statistics from?
You said, BOG, you can check and check from Gold Board. Yes,
I would love
it
to
is. It is a public. It's a public
document.
Yes, and so if the fundamentals were weak, the IMF and all would have asked you to reserve,
Right.
because you need some reserves to cushion the forex. But because the reserves are now there, and we have a program, and that is why some of us supported the issue of the gold. The concept of the gold board is technically okay. The inputs that the minority provided, they were shocked.
Yeah.
On the finance committee, Sammy Gyamfi,
even on the floor of parliament,
they were shocked. We helped them. Even on so many things, I would want them.
they amended. I mean, it's one of the acts that was amended clause by clause by them. And I think.
And there are concerns about a lapse in there, especially regarding the participation of foreign gold traders. Where you go through an aggregator or your local rep, but there's room for negotiation on the price.
We discussed all of that in camera, and so there is a strategy to deal with that.
Okay.
Because in the law you cannot put everything in there, and we are also living within a global market.
Because if there's no fixed price, then it creates an avenue for corruption.
Exactly.
So, but sometimes after the acts, regulations or some other things will come in that will help us actualize the act.
So that is the first argument. Now the issue of how do we sustain this? And also when you check even the global economic situation, the US with its tariff war. With
the dollar is waning.
That alone has weakened the dollar.
But we know it gained some strength, I think, as of yesterday regarding the relationship with China.
And that is why we're saying that in the midst of all of this, we wish that deeper economic thinking will go in. Because at the end of the day, when the dollar strengthens itself, and you begin to have issues when it comes to how Gold Board is managing itself. And the government doesn't have the resource to equip the Gold Board to buy the market, the gold demand on the market. A lot of these things will begin to suffer. And that is where you come back.
And then when
to
we
square
begin
one.
payment of our energy sector debts and all
Even
that.
government spending has not started much.
Yes.
We just approved the budget.
And government has been very firm on.
You know,
on
we've
managing
just
our expenditure.
approved government
But
budget.
you give them some credit for discipline.
Which discipline?
Fiscal discipline.
Where is it?
discipline.
Yes,
Leave government.
please, you know, we don't want, of course, yes, as I say, where it is like that, give them credit.
Yes,
Yeah.
So
that's
take
fine.
their credit, but be ready
But
to
they should
take
give you
your
your due as well.
Of course, they don't. You see,
No,
that
I've
is
just considered
no,
here
no,
how
no,
do
you
we
regarding
help
the
us?
bill.
Yes,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
you.
And a lot
But
of things have
I
done right.
always say, our political discourse, we are very, very.
It must change.
We are not grateful, or we find it difficult
To
to
appreciate.
appreciate
other,
past
yeah,
governance,
yeah.
and that is not my style.
Yeah.
We should appreciate people when they do well, because at the end of the day, we are all in the same system.
Right.
So I think a lot has gone on to bring the city, and it also boosts confidence.
Yes.
When people have confidence in the economy, there's no rush.
Yeah.
When people know, and I was trying to check the open market dollar, because it's different when you have interbank rate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
definitely.
Yes.
and then
Yeah,
the
Open
black
market.
market.
The black
rate.
market. Yeah.
The last time we
Aboche
checked,
is people.
Aboche is people were going around 14 plus.
Yeah.
When the interbank was at 13.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
the other
but
thing is that
the-
it looks like the banks have now adequate supply, so people are not.
No, so
really
that's what I'm
enthused
coming
go
to. No, that's what I'm coming to. Because there's adequate reserve in the bank. The big players,
Yeah.
the oil industry, the commodity industry, and all.
Yeah.
Once they can access dollar at the bank, they are
Yeah.
comfortable
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It is when the supply is short, that they all run to the black market.
Because it's more
Or-
expensive actually on the black market.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly. So
Right.
we need to also watch the interplay between the supply into the into the commercial banks, and then what is also available in our forex. And it is my position that we should even review and cut off this whole forex bureau industry in our. Yes.
Is it possible?
Oh, it is. We only have to watch and find a mechanism to deal with it over the period of time, because they are also a major cause to the CD instability in this country, because people find ready markets there,
Okay. Okay.
and so they are more comfort, and that is also an area where people who don't make legitimate income
Can go.
go there
Yeah.
and purchase. But when you block those opportunities, then you free the city, and that is why people still go into the treasury bill market and buy, because there's adequate liquidity in people's hands.
True. They don't know where
And
to
people don't know where
where
to
to put
where
it.
to put their money. So even if for nothing at all, let me just push it
Right.
into those markets.
Right.
And so my final advice to the Minister of Finance is that we've been here before. We had the MPP government saying that we have arrested the city, and we've put the key into the pocket of the IGP. We don't know when the IGP himself got arrested, and the key was taken from him.
Or maybe the pocket was torn. So they
It was-
keep
it was
along the
sleeping.
way.
Exactly.
There was
So-
a little break.
So let's really,
Yeah.
and it all comes to the discipline
Yeah.
that the various sectors, we take the
it's
energy
important,
sector,
yeah.
the negotiations that we go into,
Yeah.
the contracts that we contract.
Yeah.
It is my position that no government contract should be dollarized. We are fond of dollarizing
possible?
our contracts. And these are all the matters, because when you are paying them,
Both local and international contracts.
both local and international, once
That would
it
be
is
difficult.
begun, oh, my brother,
No, but if we make it a national
If it's a-
policy,
if it's a law.
if you want to do business with us, you have to play by our rules.
we've had this
Even when I'm coming with funding,
funding to do, but you are
But
entering
the
into a
funding
contract
is
that we
not-
are paying.
It's not free.
Government is paying.
You see,
so why should we pay in
make
dollars?
it look like the funding is a gift?
So you lock it is dollar, but you lock it at the existing rate, not future rates.
right, right,
In CD, and that is what
right,
you pay.
right. Let me hear from Larry on this CD dollar matter.
You know, this whole discussion just reminded me of Dr. Baumia when he said that when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Today, I mean, with the strength of the dollar, does it mean the fundamentals are strong?
Maybe.
I would love to hear him on what is happening.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, these are people that, I mean, whose voices you can't wish away in terms of, you know, when some of this matters.
But quite interestingly, I mean, he left the scene on a digitization platform and not an economic front.
Oh, that's a political statement. That's a political statement. But, you know, I mean, people have made mention of the gold board, that it's doing something right.
Yeah.
But I've also had a counter argument saying that the government is not spending as much as it should be spending. And that I heard that Fenuma King's minority leader talking about how, you know, contractors are complaining, and others, you know, who have made one supply or the other are all complaining. And we're also told at a certain point in time that the budget has just been read and that we should wait for, you know, expenditure to begin. And so, I mean, that has been the discussion. However, the dollar is what it is, as but prices are still the same. This morning, I was listening to Citi, one of your news bulletin, and the traders, the kind of English they were speaking, very impeccable English. I mean, they sounded like lecturers in the classroom, telling us about how they still have old stock. Okay, regardless of the dollar, which, you know, Ghanaians, consumers should take their time.
To clear their old stock.
One particular lady said that we should wait up to September thereabout before, and that what GUTA and the rest are saying, she disagrees with it. Another one also disagreed, you know, with GUTA and so on, and said that, hey, I mean, old stock that they bought somewhere in October
last year
is still what they are selling now. So, I mean, those making the argument about price reduction should forget it. I don't know what that means, but it reminds me of what the price control during the PNDC era. Okay, how prices were. They had a term for it at the time, and people thought that traders were just, you know, milking Ghanaians.
The Kalabule times.
Yes. Well, milking Ghanaians dry. It's, if we are all part of this institution called Ghana, we should be able to have fellow feeling. Okay. This thing when you import rice, even your funeral donation is on it. Your baby's diaper, the school fees is from there. School fees is from there. Everything has been hipped, you know, from there. Okay, and that is passed on to us. And we suffer.
I've seen the trade minister say governments cannot push price reduction on traders.
Sure, you can't. But then government can do something.
The Ministry of Trade can call leadership of industries, have discussions, because like he's saying, even if you would not drop the price because of old stock, since you are going to buy at a reduced rate, there are certain percentages that
you can make off the previous stock,
because your marked up profit would be supernormal compared to how much you're going to spend to buy again from a market. You know, but as we say, the business markets we have are always milking the system for their benefit. So when prices are going up, when dollar and other things are going up, it is easy for them to justify and shoot up their cost. But when it is coming down, then these excuses come in. And so GUTA is not the right agent. It can give the signal, but it is on the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And then,
but I think the minister
very often they use fewer prices.
Even the Parliamentary Select Committee on Trade.
It's also
would also
there should
have
be
to
some
do some
engagement at the
engagement.
leadership
In fact, the
level.
minister stated yesterday that she's meeting the leadership of GUTA and
Right.
the other trade union.
Right.
To
The
talk to
transport
them.
minister is also meeting the
Yes.
leadership of the
So I
transport.
think
So
gradually, but as I'm saying, we just need 1, 2, 3 big market players to reason up with the system and drop. The rest will be forced to drop.
Very well.
But beyond
Very
the
well.
dropping, is where
You have the final take.
Yes,
Yeah.
this thing about akukon kete.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's supposed to be
The homegrown policies.
Exactly.
That will come in.
You
I
get
think
it.
that's where he was talking about a concrete transformation of the economy that will sustain this.
Right.
So this is giving us a breathing space. But those ones will kick in slowly
The
as
20
our great 24-hour economy and the rest coming. But those are a bit
Right.
slow.
Prof doesn't want me to talk.
I'm done.
Our time is up. So,
done.
our time is up.
Sorry, I'm
But
sorry.
thank you so much, gentlemen. Let me just take a few quick messages and then we wrap it up. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, "Good morning, my brother. I expect Sammy Gyamfi to know better. How many party functionaries has he ever given $5 before? Truth be said, arrogance of power will send the NDC into position in 2028. This one says, government officials should have envelopes or rubber bags in their cars to put the monies in it. Free advice. I'm Nana from Pokwase. Good morning. Bright Krampa from University of Ghana. Sammy Gyamfi encouraged Ghanaians to exchange their dollars for Ghanaian cedis. But since you are in charge of the gold board, you wind up spending dollars rather than cedis. Do you genuinely believe the cedi will be stable over the long run? This is really bad for our economy." This is Sydney from Australia. He says, "I don't know what kind of spirit entered Sammy to do that. He's someone I trust so much. The reason is he should know better as a political figure that a lot of traps are in the system for him." Thank you for your messages. Keep them coming in while the show runs. But let me say thank you to the gentleman in studio, the Honorable Isaac Boamanyako, Member of Parliament for Efia in the Western region. The Honorable Professor Titus Bayo, MP for Lambusier, Upper West Region. Honorable Larry Dogbe,
Please.
managing editor for the Herald newspaper and its constituency. Thank you so much. This has been the news review segment here on Breakfast Daily. Stay with us. There's more ahead on the show.